Today's episode is brought to you by cattle. Every product launch faces a chicken and egg problem. You need reviews to convert, but you need conversions to get reviews. Cattle can help.
Cattle helps brands win share. They leverage their consumer panel for insights, collecting receipts, and driving product ratings and reviews. It is the largest daily active survey panel in Canada, with over 10,000 daily active users and over 100,000 monthly active users. Let cattle be your chicken and or your egg, depending on your perspective. Visit getcattle.com to learn more.
Ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to yet another episode. You are in company with your amazing hosts, Alex Hill and Justin Osborne, on your favorite podcast, Hearts and Carts.
Welcome to Hearts and Carts, the CPG podcast, the podcast about the people behind the products that are winning hearts and filling carts. This cast is for anyone with an interest in the world of consumer products. We're your hosts, Justin Osborne and Alex Hill, and our mission is to bring you weekly content that helps you be a better and more informed CPG professional.
Hi, everybody, and welcome back to another episode of Hearts and Carts. My name's Alex, and I'm here with our other co-host, Justin, and today we're going to be meeting with a really interesting entrepreneur named Aamir Malkani. Aamir has a number of entrepreneurial ventures under his belt, but most notably and currently, Plant Up Inc. Super excited to learn from Aamir and his journey. If you haven't already, please follow us on social media. Throw us those 5-star reviews on either Apple Podcasts or Spotify, and let's get into the conversation.
I'm talking to my plants. Are they talking to me?
Hello, Amir, how are you?
Hey, what's up, guys? How's it going?
Good. How you doing?
Good.
I'm doing great. Nice sunny day over here in Toronto. I know one of y'all is Hamilton, and
I'm in Hamilton, yeah.
you're in Hamilton.
Whereabouts are you in Toronto?
So office is in Oakville, but I live
very
in
nice.
Burlington. Yeah, I got a country property over there.
Well, you're really close to Alex.
Yeah,
Yes, I am.
Oakville's my stomping grounds. That's where I grew up. So yeah, I know the
Is it?
area. Yeah.
Amazing, man. I love this. I love the city, man. Oakville is amazing.
Yeah, it's amazing. Burlington too.
Yeah, absolutely, yeah. Especially because I have a country property, so it's nice and quiet, and I'm so glad I was there during COVID. Shit, I cannot
Yeah, that's
imagine what was happening in condos and the more dense areas.
For sure.
I was in a condo in downtown Vancouver, so I unfortunately don't have to imagine. I was living it. It was not
Oh,
great.
God.
My wife and I, Alex's pictures, my wife and I were both working from home out of our bedrooms, and like we only had the one bedroom, so we had like a wall divider between us, but like obviously we just can't have meetings because I can just hear everything she's saying, she can hear everything I'm saying. It's like
Oh man.
it wasn't working at all. The one bedroom for us, and my son had the rest of the apartment, but it was like we got to get the heck out of here and get some more space. So I agree with you.
Yeah, man, absolutely. So yeah, I'm really excited about this, guys.
Yeah,
and
us
thank
too.
you. Yeah.
Yeah.
Thank you.
So for everyone, we met Amir at CHFA. He was there exhibiting, and you know what, Amir, I'm going to give you a quick introduction. Let's dive into things. Sound good?
How about I give you guys an introduction this time around? How
Let's do
about,
it.
how about I do the opening, right?
Sure.
Ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to yet another episode. You are in company with your amazing hosts, Alex Hill and Justin Osborne, on your favorite podcast, Hearts and Carts.
I love it. I
I
love it.
love it. We might have to just clip that piece and use. Yep, that's much better than like radio stations that get celebrities to do. You are now listening to. And we got one now. That's perfect. I love it.
Love it. All right, guys. We got Aamir Malkani, who is the Chief Executive Officer of Plant Up Inc. He's here to share with us his journey and what Plant Up's all about, but also a lot about himself and how he kind of arrived at where he is today. So, Aamir, I think, floor is yours. Let us know the story of Aamir.
Yeah, arrived, man. Arrived is the right word because I arrived in Canada 3 years ago. So that was a move and a half for me, right? But anyway, so going back. So I'm born and raised in Mumbai, India. Just a big city, amazing city, 22 million people. So that growing up in a city like that kind of shapes you into the person you are because it's a hyper competitive environment, right? you can only imagine the number of students graduating every year. So like
Yeah.
an 85, 90%, doesn't even cut it, if you want to get into the good universities or high schools, right? So that kind of, that's, kind of shapes you into the person you're going to be, right? It's a tough environment, no doubt about that. And which is why, when you see a lot of Indian people in different parts of the world and, they're doing quite well climbing up the corporate ladder, it's just because of the grind that they go through when they're growing up in India, right? And they just have to put in so much hard work and you just got to struggle so much to just find your footing. So that's kind of the environment that I grew up in. That's the macro environment. However, if you break it down, I come from an entrepreneurial family. So my grandfather was into manufacturing of textiles. My father then took over and inherited that business. And he is a very successful entrepreneur himself. And I got to give a lot of credit to him because I think it was in the year 91 where he kind of saw this trend coming in and said, you know what, he said that I'm just going to convert my entire facility into a certified organic facility. And mind you, in 91, the term organic was just a novelty concept, right? I mean, you're not going to do everything around that. But I guess he saw that trend coming in and that's when he made that switch. So sustainability is a concept that I'm very familiar with. I grew up around that concept, right? So in a country where unfortunately a lot of people have to kind of think about where the next meal is going to come from. In our household, I was fortunate enough to grow up in a household where we were making conscious choices and how those choices kind of made an impact in our lives, in other people's lives, and to the environment as well. So that concept is deep rooted within me, right? So so I moved to Dubai when I was 17 to pursue my undergrad. That is something that I've always done. Whenever I feel like I have an opportunity to challenge the status quo around me and I have an opportunity to kind of, do something different, I take it, right? So when I was presented with an opportunity to go elsewhere for my undergrad, I was like, yeah, hell yeah, I'm going to take that on, right? So I moved to Dubai and pursued my undergrad there. And again, now this is going back to the culture. I'm not sure whether it's in India, but at least in the people around, in the community around me, it was such that you just want to get done with your education and then think about what you're going to do in life, right? So I did my undergrad. Normally what you would do is, you kind of think about what major you're going to take in, what career path you want to choose, take a step back, work somewhere. But I finished my undergrad and went straight into postgrad. That to an MBA. I don't know what I was doing there doing an MBA. Really, I had no work experience, nothing. But I chose a university in the US in Boston to pursue an MBA. And that's kind of where I felt like, okay, you know what? I need to think about what career I want to choose, right? So I chose that university because they were offering an MBA in real estate finance. And at the time, I wanted to do something in real estate. It just excited me as an industry. So finished that, made some great connections over there. And that was my first introduction to North America. I mean, I'd visited there, for vacations, but kind of living there and interacting with everyone over there, made some great friends over there. That was amazing, right? But I was sure about one thing, that I didn't want to stay back in US once I graduated. So that kind of, then again, I went back to Dubai because that's where I did my undergrad. So, all my friends, my circle, my family, no, not the immediate family, but the extended family, they were all back there. So moved back to Dubai. And because I had this degree in real estate, right, an MBA that too, I started applying for jobs over there. And my target company at the time was Emaar, which is credited to making the tallest building in the world, the Burj Khalifa.
The Burj Khalifa,
Exactly.
Very cool,
Yeah, so I got an opportunity to work there. I joined them as an intern, and when my 1 month was over, they kind of asked me that, hey, what's the plan? Are you looking at a career in the space? I was like, yeah, absolutely, and I'd love to continue, in my position over there. So yeah, and then when I felt like I was ready to kind of branch out on my own, because again, you got to realize I come from an entrepreneurial family, and the preferred choice of career in my friend circle was also entrepreneurship. So I did have that in mind, that I'm not going to keep working somewhere. I'm going to do something by myself. So when I felt that I was ready and had some good experience and a good knowledge about the industry, having worked with this amazing developer, right? I kind of rallied a few partners around me. I said, you know what, why don't we do something together and why don't we get into development? So I convinced my then partners, who are also my extended family members. They were into real estate on the brokerage side. And we started a company called Sandstone Properties, and we started making condos. Yeah. So that's my stint in Dubai.
What a place to be doing that. Like, real estate in Dubai must be like, talk about a hyper competitive market. Like that's like the most futuristic city I've ever seen. It's developing wildly fast. So that must have been an interesting experience. Yeah, it's incredible.
Great experience. And frankly speaking, right now, like over the last 2 years during COVID, because Dubai was one of the few places that were actually open and
Mhm.
accepting people, the real estate over there is up 70% in the 2 years.
Wild.
Wow. Yeah.
I cry myself to sleep every night.
Yeah. Should have kept some places. I guess. Yeah. No kidding.
Why did I leave?
That-
Why?
That's how I feel about my Ontario place. I should have kept it. Yes. I get the feeling. I get the feeling.
I shouldn't have sold my properties there, man. It's crazy. I mean, if I didn't sell, shit, I would have enough startup capital to keep me going for years.
Yeah, very true. Yeah, very true.
But anyway, so yeah. Around 2019, a couple of my family members were moving to Canada. And that's when I figured that, okay, you know what, this real estate space is great, but it's just too slow, man. It's just, as an industry, you apply for permissions and you wait, and then something else happens, then you wait. Yes, at the end of it, it's all worth it. But that whole process is just too slow for me. So I wanted to do something different when I moved to Canada. So yeah, I just made the move and kind of, just moved here.
I'm
Amazing.
amazed at how easy like you're just like, yeah, I moved to this place, like how whimsical you are about it. These are massive moves across enormous geographic distance, right? Like this is pretty impressive.
Yeah, man, it's tough. Like I can tell you from experience, moving to a new country is hard enough.
Mhm.
Moving to a new country where you have no network, no friends, no circle is worse. On top of that, moving to a new country during COVID, I mean, come on.
Yeah,
That
very
timing
true.
could not have been worse.
Yeah, that is brutal. So you landed in September 2019, if I'm looking right?
Yeah, like I kind of landed then, but I immediately went back for some work, kind of wrapped
Yeah.
things up over there. And technically I came here in Jan 2020.
Oh, wow. So yeah, you had like 2 months, everything
Mm.
seemed great. And then the
Yeah.
NBA told the world that we should be careful.
Like
Oh,
this
man.
this country sucks. Like what am I doing here? Yeah.
Oh man, no, not so. Look, honestly, look, I gotta share this with you, right? As Canadians, y'all should feel very proud of this story. When I made my landing here, right, I remember the immigration officer, and I landed here. My daughter was really young, so she was like what, less than 2 years old, and we've just taken this long flight from Dubai, and she goes like, "Hey, why don't you just let your daughter be? Just let her play around." I was like, "If she's gonna run around, she's like, yeah, it's fine, just let her be." And then she calls me close and she says, "Welcome home," and I'm
Well, that
like,
is-
are you kidding me? This is a reception, man. Like I could not believe it. So yeah, it's definitely a great place to be for sure. Absolutely, no regrets over there.
that's really
Awesome.
really nice.
So tell us about Ultrafab. So that was your first job here in Canada, right?
Yeah. So when I moved here, again, that was like a low-hanging fruit for me because you have this whole manufacturer background in India, and I wanted to set up selling arm for it over here in North America.
Smart.
So as a company, back in India, we're doing really well, and we are servicing some of the top brands of Europe. We have a good presence in North America, but not as good as they should be. So when I moved here, I said, okay, that's what I'm going to do. I have this amazing back-end support, and I'll start reaching out to clients over here. That was the thought, but the timing was completely off. Like imagine starting a business that has everything to do with reusable bags and pouches at a time where everything's all about disposables, right?
Yeah.
So the timing was totally off. I still feel like the idea was good, but the timing was totally off, right? But still, we still managed to get quite some of the bigger retailers of Canada. Can't take the names, but we are still supplying to some of the bigger retailers that are fashion industry oriented. But I guess kind of now that I'm so busy with Plant Up, I just passed all those clients directly to India and their servicing.
Got it.
So that was all to Fab. But then just like everyone else during COVID, we all had some time off, right? To think, to strategize, where are we heading, right? So I kind of took that time to really ask myself that, is this where I see myself in the next 10 to 15 years?
Mhm.
Is this something that will help me leave a legacy behind? And if it's not, then you got to cut your losses short and you got to think things over, right? So that's when I was like, okay, you know what? If not this, then what else? Let's make a grid. And whatever the opportunity I'm going to pursue after this, it's got to tick certain boxes. So the key points for me was, one, whatever the next venture is, it's got to be scalable. Second, it's got to be recession proof. Third, it's got to be futuristic. And most importantly, it should enable me in leaving a positive impact. Because again, going back to, the sustainability background, right?
Yeah.
So food kind of tick the first two boxes where it's scalable and it's recession proof because, hey, people got to eat, right?
Yeah.
And then the plant-based aspect in that tick the other two boxes, which is it's futuristic and helps me leave a positive. So that's kind of how the thought of entering the food space and the plant-based space was born, right? I started taking a deeper dive into it to see that, okay, I want to start this, but where do I go from here, right? Because I've never taken a crack at CPG before, and for sure not in food, right? So that's when I was doing my research, I kind of realized that at first I got really excited about all this innovation that was happening, right? These amazing plant-based burgers and nuggets and sausages and dairy, of course. But I noticed that a large group of people were being left out, right? And because you see, only a sub-segment of the community actually chooses fast food as their first go-to option, right? And all this new innovation that was coming up is simply an adaptation of the same old things. So that kind of helped me, to form this mission for Plant Up, where we said, okay, you know what? We are on a mission to rescue the plant-based space from the boring burgers and bland nuggets and uninspiring meal kits. Because in my opinion, eating is such a defining human experience. Beyond nourishment, it is something that connects us with each other, with each other's cultures and histories. There's a whole thrilling spectrum of possibilities, things no not dog or veggie burger can ever deliver, right? So this thought kind of enabled me to go through, embark on this ultimate adventure to change what people expect from plant-based foods. And we, went on this global journey in search for the mouth-watering, the intense, the bold, the original. And that kind of led me to thinking that, okay, well, where does flavor come from? It's not grown in a lab. Flavors come from the streets, from the chefs, from the kitchens. So I'm not going to be able to achieve these flavors that I'm thinking that's in my head sitting in a lab. So let's kind of think this through, right? And I actually traveled, right? And we exchanged notes with different chefs and street cart owners and vendors, and just kind of exchanged notes that how do we make a good tasting product? The fact that it happens to be plant-based is secondary to me, right? So that's kind of, the whole thought behind Plant Up and the inception of the idea of this company.
Amazing. And are you a solopreneur, or do you have like partners or?
No. So we are 3 employees at the moment.
Yeah.
One person works remote. And then I have Jesse, who's my partner in the company. He's our COO, and he handles all things operations and product development and everything on that side, right, on the back end, while I kind of take over the sales. Yeah. And we do have an agency does most of our marketing. So we're core member is 3 people for now, but we will be expanding very soon.
Amazing. So you guys hit the streets. Like, did you guys stay in Canada, or did you leave Canada as you were doing that recipe search? And I know you said you can only do so much in the lab, but I do always find it fascinating the process someone has to go through to go from having no product to having not just an idea and a concept and a flavor, but also one that's shelf stable or freezable, lasts, delivers, and is consistent and hits all the QA. So walk us through a little bit of that journey in terms of making Plant Up a reality.
Right. So again, as I said, I'm not from the space, right? I only wish I was. That would have reduced my learning curve significantly, and I could have launched like a year ago, right? But you got to play with the cards you're dealt with, right? So here's what happened. I didn't know where to begin, right? And no one in the food space. I called up a friend in India, and again, you got to play on your strengths, right? Totally. So my strengths is the fact that I've got a great network in India and Dubai. I got to play on that. Called up a friend. She said she knew somebody at GFI, Good Food Institute. So they're a big proponent of plant-based. So she said she knew somebody in GFI in India. And I was like, okay, can you get me a meeting? Because I don't know where to begin. I don't know what's plant-based. And I gotta have a starting point somewhere. And that was achievable for me. Like, meeting somebody who one of my friends knew. She's like, maybe I can get you in a meeting, but I don't know. I haven't spoken to him in a while. So I was like, you know what? You try, and I'll be in India in 2 days. And I just booked a ticket and I flew down. I was like, I got to start somewhere, right? Yeah. And I kind of messaged her like, hey, I'm in the flight. I better get me this meeting. And I'm actually flying down. She's like, you're crazy.
No pressure, but I'm on the plane.
I was like, listen, I'm flying down. Okay, you get me a meeting with this guy. You told me you know him. Now you better deliver. So she frantically started reaching out to friends. And then this person, a great guy, he kind of gave me 15 minutes between him finishing a jog and going home, and we met at a cafe below his building. And he's like, look, I got 15 minutes. Can you meet me at this time? And I'm like, I'll take what I can get, right? And he was my first touch point. And he said, you know what? This is what the plant-based space is all about. And I kind of started sharing my vision with him. And that 15-minute meeting went on to 2 hours. And he really opened up. And he was like, okay, here are your suppliers. Okay. First of all, whatever you think about plant-based meat is not as easy as you think it is. You
Mhm.
cannot go to a chef and say, I want to make plant-based. No chef's
Yeah.
going to be able to do that.
Mhm.
So, okay, backtrack. Here's what you're going to do. Here are 4 companies that are big suppliers of plant-based meat around the world, right? And here is a CEO of this company and CEO of this company, because he was heading GFI in India and Asia. Luck, pure luck that I
Yeah.
happened to meet a guy
Yeah.
who knew all these big boys,
Mhm.
right?
Yeah.
So it gives me the numbers and he's like, this is all I can do for you. Here are the names, here are the numbers, rest is up to you, right? I start calling these people, they start, and kind of explaining my vision. They start sending me samples, and I was like,
Mhm.
okay, I have this textured protein. Now, what am I going to do with this? I don't know, right? It's a shelf-stable product. No idea what to do with it. So because I was in India, again, playing on my strengths, started tapping into my network and started just showing up to restaurants that I liked. I was like, hey, I want to meet the chef. For what? And someone there, I remember I was like, okay, you want to meet the chef? Like, who are you? Why do you want to meet the chef? I like,
Yeah.
I just got some ideas to run with by the chef, right? So long story short, I gave 8 chefs textured pea protein. Okay. I said, here's my vision. I want to make a company that makes amazing, globally inspired foods. The fact that they happen to be plant-based is secondary for me. Let's make a great tasting product first, right? Even if you add animal-based products in it, like milk or whatever it is, I'll figure out how to, remove those and substitute that with vegan alternatives. You make me a good tasting product. And then I flew out. And this is during COVID, by the way, right? So it was hard enough to get in touch with people, right?
Yeah.
And I flew out. All these different chefs, they come back to me and said, okay, you know what? I tried kebabs and I tried butter chicken and I tried this and that, right? I sent all those products to my folks back at home, my parents. They got a few of their friends together. They all tasted the products, and that was like my mini focus group.
Cool.
And they're like, okay, you know what? From all these amazing things that we have tried, 1, 2, 3, 4 taste great. Okay, great. I paid those chefs, got their recipe. Then I utilized a chef over here to recreate those recipes. So I knew what I was tasting, because I had no idea what my parents and their friends were tasting over there.
That's true. Yeah.
I'm just going by their word, right? So then I recreated those dishes over here with a friend of mine over here who was a chef. We started testing it out. And that's when we started substituting certain animal-based ingredients with the plant-based ingredients, right? So now we have a good recipe. And now what? So that's kind of when I took a step back. I said, okay, you know what? I have now 4 suppliers of plant-based meat. Let's talk to all of them. Let's again explain the vision to them, right? One of them was extremely supportive. That is so key, to have supportive partners up front. And for a huge company to believe in this guy who has no idea about food, right? Just has a grand vision. Like when I sold my vision to them, they're like, yo, what kind of funding are you coming up with? Because this is going to take a lot of money, right?
Yeah.
So I was just out there. I remember listening to someone on the podcast early on your podcast when she said, build out loud, right?
Yeah.
So that's kind of what I started doing, right? Building out loud. Just wherever I went, I spoke about what I wanted to do, this vision I had for the company. So this one supplier really backed me up. They said, okay, here's our research division. Here are the food scientists you have access to. Here are food researchers you have access to. I flew down to US, camped with them for 3 days. I said, okay, here are my recipes. How do we scale this up? Can you help me standardize these recipes? This is where a certain level of standardization came into place. Because so far I was just playing with recipes, and the components would be going up and down, and the taste would keep altering. But this is where, with the help of food researchers and scientists, we kind of standardize these recipes. And all of this costs, right?
Yeah.
So obviously there was monetary kind of a concept behind it.
Yeah.
But I had access to it. So far I had no access to that, right?
For sure.
So that's kind of what led me from an idea to something that materialized into recipes. Recipes were then recreated, standardized, and commercialized. So that's the initial journey. But what was really important was getting Jesse, my COO of the company, Jesse, my partner in the company, getting him on board. Because again, I want to go back to this, and for anyone listening, who's starting up, you have to realize your strengths. There is no point in trying to address your weakness. Double down on your strengths and fill that void with the help of somebody else who complements you, right? So I had no food background, but Jesse had. He comes from a food background. He's worked with one of the biggest bakeries in Canada. Then he worked with a really large cold pressed juice company, right? So he had that food back. And I was like, okay, you know what? Again, sold him on the vision as well as to where we want to go. He comes on board and he kind of takes that component so I can focus on it. And now all things R&D, procurement, logistics, they all come in.
Smart.
Yeah, I love the story of how you kind of steps that you took to create the company. I think a lot of times we hear like, just start and get involved, but it's like, what are the tangible stepping stone points to actually build this? And I think yours is probably a little bit unique because you got that contact at GFI, but like, that's an interesting story that somebody could take and go, okay, I'm going to try and follow a similar path. So I love that. And I think your point around taste first and plant-based second is so important, because I've tasted a lot of products that have done the exact opposite. And what they've done, and food needs to taste good, and what they've done is created a plant-based product, but it's not good.
Yeah, I agree with you. Initially when I was doing my research and trying out all these plant-based products, look, full credit to everyone who came before me. Okay. I think some of them have done a phenomenal job, right? The Beyond Meats of the world, Impossibles, they spend millions of dollars in educating the customer, right? And we, small brands, are just piggybacking on all of that, right? However, some companies, in their effort to go to market, they just launched a really shitty product. And that product has done more of a disservice to the space as opposed to attracting customers, right? So, I mean, I agree with you. Some of the products out there, they just taste nasty, man.
Yeah. It's like you said, it needs to taste good, and it's plant-based food has come so far, and yet sometimes some companies still miss the mark. And I think you're right. People then try a product that's somebody else's product. Let's say they try it and it's not good, and then now they're like, I don't want to try another plant-based, whatever else, right? Because of that bad experience. So now, to your point, it's doing a bit of a disservice. So it's interesting. So when you brought on the partner who complemented you perfectly, you've got the products, now you're able to scale them up, and the recipes are all completed. Like, how did you approach building the business? Like, did you set up trade shows or brokers or distributors, or did you just start cold calling retailers? Like, what did you do to start the company up?
So first and foremost, I was very confident in the products that we had kind of created, right? So I was confident on the fact that when someone tries it, you are going to believe in it, right? So that kind of gave me the confidence to put the company out there. Initially, it was, okay, so here's what I did. And here's what anyone else starting up initially, early on, should do as well. Surround yourself with smart people. Surround yourself ideally with people who are smarter than you, right? So first, again, going back to getting Jesse on board, right? I think that was the first good move that I made towards building the company. Then I kind of looked into my network to see who would be a good person to be associated with, right? And I got advisors within the company and formally gave them the role of an advisor. That kind of led me into getting a few of them on the board, and we created a board. They're the chairman of the board, right? And there are 4 board members. All of them have something unique to bring to the table. One of them is from the VC background. One of them from the marketing background. He's a very close friend of mine who runs one of India's largest fully integrated marketing agency. Another person who was one of Middle East's largest retailers, right? They got a big exit a couple of years ago. So I surrounded myself with these people, convinced them on the vision for the company. I kind of initially requested them to just be on board, right? As an advisor. And as we progress and as they saw the company progressing as well, and that's when we kind of, formed a board officially. And now any major strategic decisions we take collectively, right? So it's not like a one-man shop, just someone, cowboying the whole thing, right? It's there's a structure to this. So that's kind of what I did, initially. And then with the help of these advisors, we opened up certain inroads within the market. So I have someone over here who has been extremely instrumental in getting me in touch with the distributors. So I was cold calling distributors, right? I knew that UNFI is the largest distributor and they should be my preferred choice, but I was not getting a reply. And one email from my advisor, and I got a call back, hey, so-and-so asked me to reach out to you, and what you got for me, man? And I was like, okay, shit, let's go. So I initially, obviously, you got to make an impression as well. So made this really amazing, curated this influencer type of a box for the person at UNFI. They tried the product. They're like, okay, wow, you're onto something, right? But we'll let you know. Kind of was the response. You're onto something? Great, let's stay in touch. We took part in CHFA. That was our first introduction to the market. We got really lucky out there as well. Like we took part really late. Somehow I got a corner booth in CHFA East, 1 aisle away from UNFI, who I wanted to target, right? And then they see this young brand creating so much noise because, again, look, hey, we are giving free dumplings, right? There was a lineup outside our booth and we could not keep up. And we have all these UNFI reps who I was already in touch with. And then they come and they go like, hey, what's going on over here? Why are they creating so much noise? What about this product? And the person I was in touch with at UNFI, she went and brought her boss. And then I think, if I'm not wrong, the president of UNFI, Stacy, she came up and she was like, okay, guys, let's look into this brand. And so while initially I was chasing them, after the show, it was like, hey, Aamir, let's get on a call. Let's see what we can do. And like, okay, yes, let's do it. Right. So shortlisted, I got picked up by UNFI pre-sales, which is a great feat in itself, right? Because normally they want some proof of concept, right? So got picked up by UNFI, made whatever, negotiated the rates with them and all of that. But within the show, we did get visited by some of the key category buyers for the major brand. And then a lot of follow-up and hustle and whatnot, right? To one of them saying, you know what, I want to go first to market with you guys. Let's go, right? So then we started, we started talking to all these category buyers. Eventually in Jan, while we were waiting for this big launch with Sobeys, and I can share all these things with you, right? She said, you know what, my planogram is still the category buyer Sobeys, she's like, my planogram is still going to take its due course. But what you can do is speak to my colleague who handles the local program. And if she's up for it, why don't you, I reached out to her, Sherry
Evans,
program. So exactly. She's amazing.
Great.
She's great.
Yeah,
she's great. So supportive. And she's like, okay, here's what I can do. I can give you an article number. You have to go in the stores.
Yeah.
So we made a list of all the stores that we want to target. We visited 32 stores in 2 days, Jesse and I. Just spread it out from Toronto to London, Ontario. We visited 32 stores, convinced 22 of those store managers to carry us, right? So that was kind of the initial hustle. And then we took that and then started approaching other retailers that, hey, look, we're already in Sobeys. Why don't you take us, right? Hey, we're already here. Now, why don't you take us, right? It kind of built the case for us, right? And then we got this amazing launch with Longos in Feb. And as we stand today, I think we are in about 155 stores so far across GTA and Vancouver. And we have a Sobeys national launch coming up. That should take us in about 280 doors. We have, which is in June, by the way. So June and July are really exciting months for us. So we have the Sobeys national launch coming up. We're already in all the Longos. We have a Healthy Planet launch coming up in June. We have a Metro launch coming up somewhere end of June or beginning July. We have a Whole Foods launch coming up in July. And then we are talking to a few other bigger retailers where I can't share the names yet, but I think we're almost there, right? So there's one more big launch in October. This is on this side of the country. Out in the West, we took part in the UNFI Innovation Showcase. Not this one, the previous one. And then again, this one. So you have to have multiple touch points. You cannot just go to one trade show and say, okay, where are my orders? It doesn't work that way, right? You got to keep going again and again, show your face, stay relevant initially. So out in the West, we got this good launch with all the choices and Georgia Main Group. And under Georgia Main, you have IGA and Fresh Street, right? And with this national Sobeys launch coming up, we'll be in Safeway over there.
Awesome. That's amazing. That's amazing.
It's a busy couple of months coming up here.
It's good momentum on the business. Yeah.
We need all the support and all the love we can get.
Hey, Aamir, my next question was going to be what's next, but I think you've told us a little bit about what's next. But I'm realizing that we didn't actually say, for anyone who's not familiar with Plant Up, what your two current products in the portfolio are. So maybe tell the audience a little bit about the two products you did end up launching, as well. If there's anything innovation wise you want to tease, I don't know what you can share, but as well, I was going to also probe on any news you want to maybe share.
Yeah, absolutely. So the first two SKUs that we launched, plant-based dumplings and Thai stir fry,
which I could speak to being delicious because I did try them at CHFA.
Yeah.
The stir fry was quite spicy, if I'm remembering correctly, as well.
Yeah.
But delicious.
Thank you very much. Yeah, so the first two SKUs are plant-based dumplings and Thai stir fry. Again, so the thought behind the products was we got to make, as I said, taste first. So it's got to taste bloody good. Right? It has to taste great. And secondly, it's got to be extremely convenient to make. So for anyone who's sitting on the fence wondering whether they want to try plant-based food and whatnot, we really try and target the flexitarians, because I know it's a great tasting product and, vegans and vegetarians, they're going to love it anyway. We want to convince the people sitting on the fence, this is a great tasting product and you don't have to compromise on your values of taste and convenience in order to adopt more plant-based lifestyle, right? So That was the underlying thought behind creating these two products. It's got to taste good. It's got to be super convenient. So the dumplings, again, it's so easy. You can cook from frozen. You add 2 tablespoons of oil and you toss it in the pan and it's ready in about 6 to 8 minutes, right? Crispy on one side, steam on top. Great tasting product. Comes with an amazing Szechuan sauce, right? So on the side, it does pack in a punch. So you add as much or as little as you want, right? But to the sauce lovers and the hot sauce lovers especially, they love this sauce. And then the other SKU is our version of a very staple Thai street food called Pad Krapao, which is chicken stir fry. But of course, our version is a plant-based Thai basil chicken, right? With CHIK chicken, right? So this is our version of Pad Krapao. It comes with the rice. It comes with Thai stir fry. It comes with the chili oil on the side. Super convenient to make as well. Just, poke some holes, put in the micro. Once it's thawed out, toss it in the pan for a few minutes and you're good to go. So they're the first two SKUs. And the summer innovation, which we will showcase at the UNFI Innovation Showcase in 2 weeks. I don't want to share the name. I don't know when we're going to air this, but
don't feel like you need to. We won't dare.
I think you told us in person, if I remember.
I did.
Yeah.
But we are moving westwards now. So we started off with 2 SKUs all the way in East Asia. Yeah. Now there's one SKU which is more Indian inspired, and there's one SKU which is Middle Eastern inspired. So yeah, I mean that's the whole point, right? It's globally inspired cuisine, right? The whole world is open to you.
You got the whole map to work. It's a nice innovation.
Absolutely.
It's the true definition of an innovation roadmap right there.
Absolutely.
Well, one question we like to ask all of our guests, Aamir, is what is your brand crush? What's another brand out there in the marketplace who you just love how they go to market, what they're doing? Maybe it's the product itself you love. Like what's a brand that you want to give a little recognition to?
There are 2 brands that I really admire, and both of them for something unique about themselves, right? So look, the marketing side and the design side, these are 2 aspects of a brand that are very close to me. Like I resonate with it, which is why I've chosen these 2 brands. So the first brand is Future Farm. I am in love with their marketing, like the way they have created this amazing theme around their brand, the bold text, the white background and black bold text, and these amazing campaigns they run. They're fun, they're quirky. For example, they ran a recent campaign in UK where they showed a picture of a chicken and then you have a burger, and the text going behind is whack or snack, choose a tastier future. You get a point. That's a really good one line, whack or snack, right? And then they had this amazing campaign where on the billboard you have this guy which is all juiced up, and on the other side you have juicy. So juiced or juicy, choose a tastier future. So I love their marketing campaign. This is why I really like this brand. And the other brand that I'm absolutely in love with, and there is no reason for anyone not to like them, is Oatly. It's a massive company. I think it's about $500 million now. Great company, phenomenal presence around the world. I saw them in Dubai as well. And the reason I really like them is because they are taking on the dairy industry by the horn of late. So first of all, the entire theme around the brand is very quirky and deadpan humor, right? That's how they approach their marketing. And off late, they've been running these campaigns where they took out this massive 2-page ad in a newspaper and they said, we bought this 2-page to tell you we've begun including climate footprint numbers on our products. We also purchased the other side of the paper, and dairy industry, why don't you call out your climate footprint over here as well, and we will sponsor that page. And they did the same campaign across these massive billboards where they would buy one side of the billboard and leave the other side of the billboard blank for the dairy industry. So I just love how they just grabbing the bull by its horn and going right at it.
Yeah, like trying to disrupt the industry. A sucker for an oat milk latte too, so they seem to work really well. But yeah, that marketing campaign is amazing. It's just like so in your face, which is I think what's working. And like plant-based milk is performing really well and got pretty big household penetration now. So it's brands like Oatly that are really pushing it.
Yeah, absolutely. Again, you see, plant-based dairy has been around for a while, right? It's not a relatively new concept like plant meat. And the reason for that is plant-based milk comes out of a need, which is lactose intolerance.
Yeah.
So a lot of people are lactose intolerant, which is why I got that head start. But plant-based meat is getting there.
Yeah.
It's going to catch up for sure. Last question we like to ask everyone. And you've given great advice throughout here, the conversation, very tangible points and just the way you looked at the business. But if you were talking to yourself, 5-10 years ago, or talking to somebody else that wanted to start out in the CPG space as an entrepreneur, what would you say to them?
I can share a couple of points from the experiences. Again, look, I'm in no stage of life to preach, but I can only share my experiences, right? Because I'm really far away from what I perceive as success, far away from that. But what I can do is share from my experiences. So, to someone who's just getting out there, there are two quotes that I really resonate with. One is that people buy with emotion and then justify their purchase with logic. So when you want to convince somebody to kind of, look at you as a brand or buy your products, appeal to the emotional aspect of the purchasing. Don't appeal to the logic. The consumers will justify it with logic. Appeal to the emotion, right? And the second quote that I really like is sell what the product stands for and not the product itself. So you have to kind of take a deeper dive into what is it that you're offering, right? How does it make the customer feel when they have purchased it? So going back to one of your examples of Disney, where you spent a lot of money and you still felt good about it, because that's how it made you feel. Look, I listened to your podcast, guys. So,
You can tell. I like it.
So yeah, look, it's like, people don't care about the offer. It's about what is it that your offer can do for them? How does it make them? So these are two quotes that I really like and I live by. And another key advice that I have always practiced, and something I would like to share with anyone listening as well, especially if you're starting off, right? Surround yourself with smart people. Surround yourself with people who are achievers, because those people will drive you. They will, for sure, they will drive you. Honestly, a lot of my friends are doing really well in their lives. And frankly speaking, when I see that, I get a bit jealous. I'm like, man, I got to do it as well. Like, why am I not there yet? Right? Kind of puts a fire behind my back, right? Like, I got to do it too. Like, these are my friends. We've grown up together. They're doing so well. I got to be there as well, right? So surround yourself with achievers, surround yourself with positive people, surround yourself with people who are smarter than you, because you just don't know what you don't know, right? But you could learn from other people's experiences, other people's mistakes.
I love all that advice. I think it's all something that doesn't need to be overcomplicated. Like, I think you've delivered it really simply and clearly. And I mean, the piece about the way people buy, for example, I think that's a scientific fact at this point, right? Like, people buy emotionally and justify after. And I haven't heard that quote that way. So yeah, across the board, I think, all stellar advice for anyone. And on the last piece, they say you're the average of the 5 people you spend the most time with. So
exactly,
might as well average up, right? So yeah, I appreciate all that advice, and just appreciate you making the time to join us and chat and share this journey. And excited to see Plant Up everywhere soon, because it sounds like that's pretty much happening this month and next month, which is
right now. Yeah.
Yes, sir. It's all going down in June and July.
It's exciting. So, for anyone listening, head to your local Sobeys, Longos, Metro, Whole Foods, and try some Plant Up. Delicious food and definitely brand that's doing this plant-based thing the right way, flavor first, and committed to making the world a little bit better through plant-based food.
Thank you very much, guys. I really, really appreciate the opportunity. I look forward to coming back on this show next year and hopefully sharing everything we have achieved and preparing up for a US launch as well, right? So we'll get back in touch with you on that.
Absolutely.
Love it.
Thanks so much. Really appreciate it, and all the best.
Thank you, guys.
Have a great night, Aamir. Bye.